Hello, disturbed listeners. We need your help in a truly terrifying way. A listener survey. Tell us all of your deep, dark secrets. It'll only hurt for a few minutes. You'll find the link below in our show notes. To show you how much we appreciate you, we're giving away 2 $50 gift cards every month. Remember to check out our show notes for the link to the survey. We promise we won't stalk you when we're done.
This episode is brought to you by Facebook. So you were scrolling on Marketplace, and there it was, the bike you'd been searching for. You sent a message, and it turned out the seller was super chatty, kind of funny, and an avid cyclist. The next thing you know, you're in a cycling crew. Well, a community cycling group. The thing about Facebook, you might find more than what you're looking for. From a browse to a bike ride, this summer find more on Facebook.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
From Killer Podcasts. True tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello, and welcome back to the show. This week, we have 4 stories that will make you shudder. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. In our first story, a handyman tries to be too helpful. Narrated by Intravia, from an anonymous Reddit user.
I'm 23, and I live alone. Recently, one of my outlets exploded, and I've been having issues with the power turning off, and I've been smelling smoke at random times. I've pretty much been living in fear of a fire starting for a while. When it happened, I sent pictures of the burnt pieces to my dad because he's the one talking to my landlord about any issues I have and handling payments. I thought he had everything handled, but then my landlord called me. I never talked to him. Never. So I was shocked to see his name on my caller ID, and I didn't like it. He told me that he could send someone right away, but that the electrician was scared of walking up the stairs because he's very old, and he was wondering if I could go and help him because he lives in the building next to me. Personally, I just think that he was being cheap and didn't want to pay a professional, so he called a buddy. At that point, I was like, okay, I just needed it fixed. So it's fine. I was genuinely scared of a fire starting when I was sleeping. It was an emergency in my eyes, and he'd already delayed fixing it. He gave me the guy's phone number and told me to call to schedule the meeting. I called him, and we decided to meet downstairs in an hour. I knew he had to check outlets in the kitchen, so before he came over, I hid everything sharp, just in case. It sounds silly, but this person is a stranger, and I don't ever trust strangers, especially where I live. When the time came, I went down to meet this 70-year-old retired electrician. He was quite shaky on his legs, but stood fine otherwise. I carried his bag while he walked up the stairs, holding the handrail with both hands. When we got into my apartment, he immediately sat down and told me that he needed a moment. He started telling me about his health issues, then told me that he is all alone and that he needs and I quote, "Someone to come in once a week to cook and clean. That he doesn't even need sex, he doesn't need anything, that he will pay for someone's services." He told me I should find him someone like that, and asked if I needed extra money. My creep radar immediately started going off. I told him that I didn't know anyone, but he kept pushing the issue and repeated the same thing like 4 times. He started to walk around my apartment, and at one point he grabbed my hand and kissed it and said, "Don't be scared of me." I wasn't scared, I was creeped out. He oozed creepy old man. I told him I wasn't scared, I just liked personal space. I've met older people before, and they all try to be gentlemen and kiss my hand, so I tried to tell myself this was just him being old-fashioned. But then he reminded me again about his no sex, just cook and clean deal. And this is when I started to get really uncomfortable. I wanted to kick him out, but I realized I would still have to walk with him downstairs, and that defeated the purpose of getting away from him fast. I should have trusted my gut and done it, though. While checking things, he started talking about how he had been in this apartment before years ago, changing the electrical cables. In fact, he said he knew the entire building layout. Then, with a weird twinkle in his eye, he casually said, "I even have the keys to this apartment, but don't worry, I don't even know where I put them." Then he gave an evil laugh and started to fake check his pockets like he thought he had them, and said, "Probably home in some box." I pretended to be cool about it. I didn't say anything, I just let him ramble on and nodded. He seemed to check every outlet in the apartment. Kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, and at one point it looked like he was going to go into my bedroom, but decided against it. He looked at me and made some comment about having a pretty comforter for a pretty girl. I was really over his presence in my apartment and couldn't wait for him to go. Finally, he was done, and it was time for him to leave. He was standing in front of the door, and I was right behind him. He grabbed the little bag he came with. I don't know what was inside. He didn't use anything, and it was light. Then I took it from him so I could carry it down the stairs. He took that opportunity to kiss my hand again. Then he looked at the door. He turned around and leaned in and kissed my cheeks. I was appalled and taken aback. I knew that he was creepy, but that was too much. Now I started to get scared. He was in the door, blocking the only entrance to my apartment. I just wanted him to move. He took a few steps forward, and just when I thought he was finally going to leave, he turned around, grabbed my face with both of his hands, and leaned in for a real kiss. There was no way this was happening. I dropped his bag and pushed him away with all of my might. He might have been unstable on the stairs, but he was still strong. Afterwards, he acted like nothing had happened. He mumbled something that sounded like, "You're a nice girl anyway." Unfortunately, I still had to follow him down the stairs, and let me tell you, it took everything in my power to not push him down right then. When we were outside, he said to me again, "Remember what I told you. Find me a woman that cooks and cleans and no sex, no nothing." I didn't reply. I couldn't wait to get away from him. I turned and walked as fast as I could back up to my apartment. I immediately called my parents and told them what happened, and they confronted my landlord about it. He said the old man doesn't have the keys because he took them back a while ago. This might be true, but I'm not believing a word he says. For all I know, it was a setup. It's not safe to believe it. Plus, it's easy to make copies of keys. After that, I never felt safe in my apartment. I always felt like I was being watched. I didn't see the old man install any cameras, but who knows since he'd been in there before. I was also paranoid that he was going to come barging through my door one day. Every little noise I heard, I thought it was him. I ended up having my dad change the locks on my doors. Now my landlord doesn't even have a copy of my key, and I feel a lot safer about the whole situation.
If you've ever dreamt of owning your own store, now is the time to make your dream come true with Shopify. Everything you need to sell is already there from day one. They make it easy for anyone to get started. And it's so easy for a business to grow. All of the time that they would spend trying to set up selling platforms is now theirs when they use Shopify. Shopify makes it easy for the customers too. I saved my credit card info, and yours too, for fast and easy checkout. All I have to do is click the purple button and I'm good to go. I know what I'm buying is legit because big name brands also use Shopify to sell their merchandise online. With Shopify, you can grow as big as household names like Mattel or Gymshark, who are also powered by Shopify. With Shopify, nothing stands between your idea and a real business. So bring your ideas to life with Shopify. I'll be watching. Start your free trial at shopify.com/disturbed. Start your free trial at shopify.com/disturbed. When we were kids, summer meant freedom. No homework, no teachers, no school. And as adults, summer still means freedom thanks to Mint Mobile's summer sale. Right now, all of Mint's plans are $15 per month, even unlimited. I love Mint. I use it for my family of 6 and constantly tell people switching to Mint has been the best decision I've made in the past 10 years. My budget is a lot happier too. I'm easily saving a couple $1,000s a year compared to my old provider. Mint gives you the freedom to take your phone and phone number with you and the freedom to choose a 3, 6, or 12-month plan. So free yourself from big wireless and their gimmicks and gotchas and switch to Mint for high-speed data and coverage on the T-Mobile 5G network. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's it. There's no catch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Includes up to 20 gigabyte hotspot. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. August is the perfect time to hit reset before the autumn rush begins. And honestly, I can't think of a better place to start than my closet. That's why I love shopping at Quince. Every day that I go into the office, I choose to wear something from Quince. I know that I will be comfortable all day long, not to mention I'll look good too. My personal favorites are their cotton tees and their 100% linen trousers. Quince is all about fewer, better pieces. Their clothes are made with premium materials built to last and designed to become the ones you reach for day after day. And it's not just clothing. Quince has become my go-to for everything from hotel-quality bedding to bath essentials to premium cookware and travel must-haves. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/disturbed. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns, now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/disturbed. Welcome back, listeners. What do you do when your fears come true? Narrated by Dacey Else, from Reddit user WorthBiscotti5070.
When I was in my 20s, I lived by myself for a while. Looking back, that apartment was probably my favorite place I've ever lived. I decorated the whole thing in this hippie boho style before that was really even a trend. Everything was wood and earthy colors. I had driftwood decorations, plants everywhere, little candles, and wooden bead curtains hanging in a couple of the doorways. It felt peaceful. It felt like home. There was only one thing I hated. My apartment was on the second floor, but every apartment had a little balcony that connected to the shared outdoor walkway. The walkway ran past everyone's front doors and balconies, and each balcony had a gate that opened onto it. My balcony had a sliding glass door that led straight into my kitchen and dining room. This is what I hated. The glass door locked, of course, but every night I'd lie in bed thinking about how a piece of glass wasn't exactly going to stop someone who really wanted to get inside. Pets weren't allowed, so getting a big dog wasn't an option. I'd grown up around hunting and guns, but I was a broke 20-something living alone. Buying one honestly never even crossed my mind back then. Instead, I kept a rusty kitchen knife under my bed. Every single night before I went to bed, I'd shove my dresser in front of my bedroom door. Every single night. Looking back now, I realize how sad that is. That's no way to live, but at the time it had become my routine. If someone wasn't staying over with me, I was scared almost every night. I thought for sure someone was going to come crashing through the glass to get me. You could call it my biggest fear. Or maybe even a premonition. I'd been in my apartment for about 6 months when one night, sometime after midnight, I woke up thirsty. Normally, I'd take a bottle of water into my room with me because I hated leaving it once I'd barricaded myself in with the dresser. Of course, this was the one night I forgot. I remember sitting there for a minute debating whether I could just ignore being thirsty until morning, but I was really thirsty and couldn't fall back asleep. Eventually, I grabbed my knife, moved the dresser just enough to squeeze out of my bedroom, and walked toward the kitchen. The sliding glass door was in the dining area, and I had to walk past it. The long, vertical blinds were closed, but swayed back and forth like they always did whenever the air conditioner kicked on. Everything was fine so far. The blinds shifted a little, and I thought I saw something. Just a dark shape. It stopped me in my tracks right in front of the sliding glass door. At first, I couldn't make sense of what I was looking at because it was so dark outside. I rubbed my eyes and looked again. The blinds swayed. The shadow was still there. Then, bang! A loud thud slammed into the sliding glass door. The sound exploded through my apartment. It sounded like someone had just thrown their shoulder into the glass. I screamed. Whoever was outside froze. Everything happened at once. I instantly realized my phone was still in my bedroom, so I raised the knife. My feet were glued to the floor where I stood. I held up the knife even though there was no way they could see it through the blinds and screamed, "I have a knife! Go away, I have a knife! I'll fuck you up!" I could barely breathe. I was absolutely hysterical. I remember thinking I was hyperventilating so badly that I might actually pass out. The figure stood there, not moving. So I stomped my foot and screamed even louder. "Go away! I'll fucking stab the shit out of you!" By then, I was crying so hard, I don't even know if the words came out clearly. After that, I stopped trying to form sentences. The figure slammed into the glass again. Then I heard them grab the door handle. I started to scream over and over again as loud as I possibly could. Finally, it was like whoever was out there snapped out of whatever they were doing. I heard them let go of the door. Then, footsteps. They ran back through the little gate they'd opened to get onto my balcony and disappeared down the walkway. I kept screaming for another minute or two. Then, I collapsed right there on the floor. My knife clattered onto the tile beside me. I cried for what felt like forever before I finally pulled myself together enough to go back to my bedroom and get my phone. I was both relieved and still scared at the same time. I called my dad, even though he lived 3 hours away. He stayed on the phone with me while I cried it all out. I never went back to sleep that night. I stayed awake and stared at the sliding glass door until the sun came out. The next morning, my dad drove all the way to my apartment. He helped me install one of those security bars that wedges into the track of a sliding glass door so it can't be forced open. I don't know if it actually would have stopped someone determined enough, but it made me feel a little better. I reported everything to both the police and my landlord, but there wasn't too much they could do. I stayed in that apartment until my lease had ended and fortunately never had another incident like that one. To this day, I still wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed in bed, or if I'd been too scared to yell, or if I'd frozen instead of screaming. I'll never know. But even now, years later, whenever I see those vertical blinds gently swaying in front of a sliding glass door, I'm right back in that apartment, staring at a shadow I couldn't quite make out, right before it slammed into the glass.
A road trip pit stop leaves a father hungry for more. Narrated by Laura Lockwood from Reddit user Remuxus.
It was around 2003, and I was around 7 years old when this happened. My father, brother, and I were traveling to go see my grandparents, who lived about 5 hours away from us. We woke up really early, and at about the halfway point, we passed through this small historic town. My dad got really excited and wanted to stop at a random place to get breakfast, so we did. He told us it was always his favorite part of road trips. My father just happened to choose the epitome of small-town home cooking. This place was a very old 2-story home with wood paneling that had been repurposed into a restaurant. We walked in at the exact same time as 3 other men who were wearing high-vis shirts and vests. I've always just assumed that they were construction workers who were passing through the area and wanted some breakfast, just like us. When we walked in, the first thing I noticed was a staircase to the left and a long hallway in front of us that you couldn't see the end of. They were both dimly lit and creepy. I desperately needed to use the bathroom, but my father suggested it was probably down the never-ending dark hallway, so I decided I would just wait. To the right of the front door was the restaurant. It was small, with about 12 tables total. All the booths were against 2 of the walls, and they were already taken by other people, so my family and the construction workers that walked in with us sat at the tables in the middle of the room. We started to look at the menus that were already on the table. They served normal things like pancakes and eggs. That's when I noticed that everything was weird. It was too quiet. There was an old jazz singer playing from the jukebox in the corner, so we didn't notice at first, but now the silence was deafening. I glanced around the room and noticed the front counter and kitchen seemed completely empty. There was a glass display case that is common in bakeries or diners to show off desserts or treats that they have for sale, but it was also completely empty. The kitchen was in full view from the dining room, but didn't seem to be in use. There was no smell of food or coffee or signs of any workers at all. Then I noticed the scariest thing of all. Every single person that was in the restaurant before us just sat there, silently staring at us. They all had glass cups with what looked like cola in them, but no one touched them. No one looked at a menu. No one had a plate of food. No one was speaking. They just stared at us. I even remember seeing a boy that was about my age staring at me, silent. At this point, I realized that my father and the construction workers had caught on to this as well. Without taking my eyes off of those staring at us, I whispered to my dad and asked if we could just leave. My father looked at the construction workers, and it was like they had a whole conversation with just looks. My dad gave them a quick nod. The men nodded back, and we all stood up and walked out at the same time. We could feel their eyes following us as we made our way out of the restaurant. no one said a word as we got into our cars. We drove to the next town over and thankfully had a normal experience at the next restaurant we stopped in. To this day, I always think back about how unsettling that experience was and wonder what was going on. My family and I will still bring this up from time to time, and we all agree it's one of the creepiest experiences of our lives.
Disturbed will return in a moment. When we were kids, summer meant freedom. No homework, no teachers, no school. And as adults, summer still means freedom thanks to Mint Mobile's summer sale. Right now, all of Mint's plans are $15 per month, even unlimited. I love Mint. I use it for my family of 6 and constantly tell people switching to Mint has been the best decision I've made in the past 10 years. My budget is a lot happier too. I'm easily saving a couple $1,000s a year compared to my old provider. Mint gives you the freedom to take your phone and phone number with you and the freedom to choose a 3, 6, or 12-month plan. So free yourself from big wireless and their gimmicks and gotchas and switch to Mint for high-speed data and coverage on the T-Mobile 5G network. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's it. There's no catch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Includes up to 20 gigabyte hotspot capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. If you've ever dreamt of owning your own store, now is the time to make your dream come true with Shopify. Everything you need to sell is already there from day one. They make it easy for anyone to get started. And it's so easy for a business to grow. All of the time that they would spend trying to set up selling platforms is now theirs when they use Shopify. Shopify makes it easy for the customers too. I saved my credit card info, and yours too, for fast and easy checkout. All I have to do is click the purple button and I'm good to go. I know what I'm buying is legit because big name brands also use Shopify to sell their merchandise online. With Shopify, you can grow as big as household names like Mattel or Gymshark, who are also powered by Shopify. With Shopify, nothing stands between your idea and a real business. So bring your ideas to life with Shopify. I'll be watching. Start your free trial at shopify.com/disturbed. Start your free trial at shopify.com/disturbed. A girl takes home a friend from a local haunt. Narrated by Ardenn Stolz. From Reddit user Beautiful Display 371.
I had just graduated from high school when this happened. We live in around the Appalachians. Not sure if that's important or even related to what happened, but still. So, this happened about 2 or 3 years ago, but it still haunts me today. I was with a group of people that I knew. One of them was my best friend, and one was my sister. One of my friends suggested that we all go to a hangout that they used to go to often. Not thinking anything of it, we all agreed. This was a place around the town square. We'll call this place Amph for anonymity. We didn't know a lot about the history of this place before going, other than the usual small-town gossip that it was haunted. The part of Amph that we were in was below a small, paved hill leading to a broken, falling-apart building. This building was made of brick and was missing huge chunks out of 2 walls diagonal to each other. While walking towards the building and at the top of the paved hill, I started feeling off. The closer we got, the worse the feeling got. As soon as the building came into view, I got a feeling of absolute dread pushing on my chest. It was so strong I had to stop walking for a second. My sister saw me stop and motioned for me to keep moving. She had no idea what was happening. We got to the gravel-type walkway to the building, and my pace slowed down dramatically. People started climbing in the opening in the wall. A couple of people walked in, no problem, while I just watched. My sister was beside me. I attempted to slowly climb in as well, but it was like there was an invisible wall stopping me from taking a single step inside. It felt like there was pressure on the center of my chest, pushing me back and away. It was like this for a few more attempts, becoming increasingly more difficult until I was able to break the force and climb in. Once inside, I walked very slowly while looking around the single-room building. Without realizing it, I stopped in the center of the room. I started to feel even worse at this moment, kind of dizzy and out of it, like I was being hypnotized. That's when I felt it. A presence behind me. Invisible hands slowly raked up my back to the top of my shoulders. I was so scared. I was frozen in fear, unable to speak. My sister looked at me, confused, and asked me if I was okay. I couldn't answer. I could only blankly stare at her as she slowly repeated the question. After not getting a response for the second time, she looked at me in silence for a few seconds as I was still blankly staring back. She started panicking. She didn't know what I was doing. She asked me again if I was okay. Then she realized exactly what was happening. Her face dropped and, just barely loud enough, she said to everyone else, "We need to leave. Now, it's time to go." She slowly grabbed my arm and guided me to the exit. Everyone else was super confused, and when they asked my sister why, she just said, "It's time to go." Once we were out and at the top of the paved hill again, my sister stopped and asked me again if I was okay. I could speak now, but only barely. I replied in a whisper, telling her I didn't know. I still felt like I was in a trance. It was hard to make clear thoughts, and my mind kept swirling. Someone suggested that we go to the opposite side of the square to get out and get away from the area of Amph. So that's what we did. My sister took my hand and led me over to another bench. Once we got there, I started feeling noticeably better. I was able to explain in some detail what happened inside Amph. Everyone either believed me or wanted to, but just couldn't. We sat there, and a few moments went by when I started to feel like I was being watched. I could feel my eyes get drawn back over to Amph, to the hole in the concrete where we'd just come out of. There, I saw a dark figure standing in the hole, beckoning me to come back in. Although I know I was sitting on the bench, it seemed to be getting closer and closer to me. It was pulling my soul over to it. My sister could tell something was happening to me again, and started to shake me to pull me out of it. When I came to, I started to cry. I wanted it to leave me alone. We decided to walk back to our friend's house a few roads away from the square. It started following us as we left the square. It would come so close to me that I thought it was going to grab me and overtake me. But then it would laugh and back away, only to get closer and do it all over again. Each time, it would touch either one of my arms or one of my legs. Every time it came into contact with one of my limbs, that limb became more and more numb until I couldn't move it anymore, no matter how hard I tried. By the time we made it to our friend's house, almost all my limbs were completely numb, and I was limping. When we finally got to her house, I sat on the couch, and slowly all the feeling returned to my body. I fell asleep and wanted to wake up forgetting any of it ever happened. However, I wasn't that lucky. It all came rushing back to me the next day. Even now, years later, I still feel it watching me at times.
New episodes of Disturbed drop every Thursday. If you love the show, consider becoming a member to access early and ad-free episodes. There you can also access our exclusive monthly series, A Night by the Campfire, where we share the scariest stories we can find from professional authors. A few episodes have been released here for free, so scroll down and listen. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed. If you have a story you'd like to share, email us at mystory@disturbedpodcast.com or post on our subreddit, r/disturbedpodcast. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and leaving a review. Disturbed is a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more true crime and paranormal shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Our producer is Sarah Wilgrube, and Declan Roars is our executive producer. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson, Sean Rule Hoffman, and Will Pritz. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Until next time, stay safe out there.
At ZocDoc, we know being a healthy adult is like living in a video game. Every day has side quests, taxes, laundry, birthdays. And just when you're leveling up, you have to book a doctor. The insurance portal crashes. They put you on hold. Your doctor doesn't take your plan. Game over. We see you, so we made booking a doctor easy. Download ZocDoc. Search by specialty, insurance, and availability. Book instantly. No cheat codes required. Find a doctor you love with ZocDoc.
Hello.
Lockwood TJ Maxx dragged in.
The Devil Wears Prada 2 is now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
We are digital, we are downloadable, we are streamable.
The fashion event of the year is certified fresh.
Pull yourself together, we have work to do.
Critics say it's smart and witty and the perfect sequel.
That's all.
Get runway ready for The Devil Wears Prada 2 on Disney Plus and Hulu. Rated PG-13.